The real cost of the F-16 fighter jet. With great wealth comes the urge to spend lavishly. This is the main reason why many billionaires go as far as purchasing multi-million-dollar fighter jets, which they have little to no use for. One of such jets is the F-16 fighter jet. Did you know that ever since production was approved for the F-16, over 4,600 aircraft have been built, and that the U.S. Air Force no longer buys the jet, which is why improved versions of the F-16 are being built for export customers. This leaves the question, why would it cost to buy, own, and maintain an F-16 fighter jet? To get all the answers you are searching for, stick around until the last minute of the video. Without further ado, let's take a look at the real cost of the F-16 fighter jet. History and structural design of the F-16 fighter jet. Before we go deep into the video, the most logical way for us to start is to take a look at the history and design of the F-16 fighter jet. That makes it expensive. The name F-16 also stands for Fighting Falcon Fighter Jet, for those of you who might not know. Designed and built by Lockheed Martin Corporation, formerly known as General Dynamics Corporation, the fighter jet is a single-seat, single-engine aircraft. Initially, Lockheed Martin Corporation made the F-16 fighter jets for the United States, while also making about a dozen of these jets for other countries. However, just as I mentioned earlier, the U.S. Air Force no longer uses the F-16 fighter. Thus, the manufacturers are forced to build them for export customers. The original demand for the F-16 fighter jets started in 1972, when an order was placed for a lightweight, cost-effective air-to-air jet, and this led to the birth of the F-16. By 1978, the U.S. Air Force got the first delivery of the F-16 fighter jet, which then paved the way for more to be built. Modern fighter jet models are all weather capable and effective for ground attack if the need arises. The general design of an F-16 jet puts it at about 49 feet long, and its wingspan at about 31 feet. Since the fighter jet is a single-engine aircraft, it is powered solely by a single Pratt & Whitney or General Electric turbofan engine. With the single engine it carries, the jet can generate about 23,000 to 29,000 pounds of thrust, and thus the aircraft can accelerate at twice the speed of sound. For a fighter jet, speed is just one aspect that makes it stand out. The other part is the weapons, and the F-16 has an impressive collection. Some of the weapons on the F-16 include a 20mm rotary cannon, which combines with other attachments under the wings and fuselage for a wide variety of bombs and missiles. Usually, for the F-16, with a typical weapon loaded, the fighter jet weighs about 23,000 pounds. Still, on the weapon system of the F-16, the fuselage flares out at its juncture, with the aluminum alloy wings giving the jet greater lift and stability at steep angles of attack. It doesn't end there. There is a computerized stabilizing system in the jet that continues to send commands to control surfaces in the tail and wings of the F-16. In addition to all that, there is also a highly advanced bomb aiming system that uses laser rangefinder and high-speed digital data processing that allows bombs to be dropped with impeccable precision from the lowest of altitudes. All these and more are what made the F-16 the top fighter jet for the U.S. Air Force for many years and why it costs so much. Different models of the F-16 and what they cost. F-16 A and B. For this variant of the F-16 fighter jet, there are two types, the F-16A and the F-16B. The F-16A is single-seated, while F-16B is the two-seated, and they both were the initial production variants of the fighter jet. These two variants of the jet were the most numerous F-16s created, with about 475 produced. After a while, many F-16As and Bs were upgraded to the Midlife Upgrade, LMU, Block 20 standard, thus becoming functionally equivalent to the F-16C and D models. Because these two were among the earliest models of the fighter jet, their cost isn't too outrageous. The two models are priced at approximately $12 million each. F-16C and D. Like the fighter jet's A and B variants, F-16C and D are distinguished by the number of seats they house. For the F-16C, it is a one-seat version, while the F-16D is the two-seat version of the fighter jet. The F-16C and D were made much later than their predecessors, the F-16A and B. And one of the things they were built to improve was the cockpit avionic and radar, which added weather capability and air-to-air missiles. By 1998, the F-16 C and D were fully in operation with a cost price of $18 million. In contrast, its operational cost per flight hour was estimated to be between $7,000 to $22,000. F-16 E and F. Following the trend set by its predecessors, F-16 E and F are variants of the F-16 fighter jet, also distinguished by the seat number. F-16E is the one-seat variant, while the F-16F is the two-seat variant. Both jets individually are the newer versions of the C and D variants of the jet. For these variants of the fighter jet, the United Arab Emirates invested greatly in its development, and thus it got very significant upgrades over the older versions. To name a few, the two variants featured an improved radar, avionics, conformal fuel tanks, and a more powerful engine, which meant their performance was greatly enhanced. Because of its affiliation to the UAE, this version of the jet was sometimes referred to as the Desert Falcon, and its price was pegged at around $30 million. F-16 In. The next F-16 jet on today's video was built for a special competition, and it's none other than the F-16 In. The F-16 In Super Viper jet was offered for the Indian Air Force by Lockheed Martin during the Indian MRCA competition. The jet is based on the F-16 E and F. It features conformal tanks, an improved radar system, an infrared search, a track unit, and updated glass cockpit, and a helmet-mounted cueing system. By 2011, the F-16 In was no longer in the competition. However, Lockheed Martin offered a new F-16 block, 70/72 version, to India under the Make in India program. Fast forward to 2017, the Indian government offered to buy 200 of these fighter jets in a deal worth $13 to $15 billion, thus making the cost of each jet around $75 million. The F-16 In. Built based on the F-16 C and D variant of the jet, the F-16 In was an adversary aircraft formerly operated by the United States Navy. The General Electric F-110 GE-100 engine powered the jet, and thus it was capable of supercruise. Unlike other versions of the fighter jet, the F-16 In has a strengthened wing, allowing it to carry an air combat maneuvering instrumentation pod on the starboard wingtip. Also, this version of the F-16 fighter jet was made without cannons, which means that the jet carries no missiles. Although the F-16 In has other features which give it a slight edge over the other versions of this jet. The absence of missiles is a disadvantage that cannot be overlooked, though. The jet is said to cost approximately $60 million. F-16V. The last version of the F-16 fighter jet we will be looking at today is the F-16V. This version of the jet was unveiled during the 2012 Singapore Air Show by Lockheed Martin. The show ushered in the F-16V variant, with the V suffix standing for Viper. The F-16V features AN/APG-83 active electronically scanned array radar, a new computer and electronic warfare system, and an automated ground collision avoidance system. In combination with various cockpit improvements, all these give the F-16 a much-needed improvement over other versions. The first country to announce the purchase of the F-16V was Bahrain, with other countries like Slovakia and Greece following suit. Up to date, many of the F-16 fighter jets are still on sale, with each going for about $100 million. What it would cost to operate an F-16 fighter jet. Aside from the cost of purchase, one has to also factor in the cost of operating the jet once it is acquired. For the F-16, the direct operating cost, as given by Lockheed Martin, is about $22,514. The good news is that this cost includes maintenance, fuel, weapons, and crew salary, compared to other versions like the F-35A, which cost per flight is around $32,000. The F-16 is relatively cheap. There you have it, guys. The actual cost of owning the F-16 fighter jet. Whichever version you decide to go for, I am sure you will get your money's worth. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, stay safe. Bye.